Welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley. Today we're joined by founders of AttractWell, Greg and Amanda Kilwine. Hey guys.
Hello, good
everyone.
afternoon.
Glad you're here.
We're so excited to have you here today. As you're coming in, let us know where you're coming in from in the chat. Greg and Amanda, you guys are based in Fargo, right, in North Dakota, and I am in New York. So where in the world are you? Always just a cool thing to see when everybody gets together. We do have clientele from all around the world, all kinds of different time zones. And maybe if you're watching this as a replay because 2 p.m. Eastern just does not fly for where you live, leave us a comment. So today we're going to be talking about closing. And this is a fun topic. I've worked in sales for years and years and years before I got into the work that I do now. And selling really is still kind of a fundamental piece of the picture. It's just, it's evolved, right? And so I want to talk with you guys today about sort of the mindset of selling and how closing can work in a way that doesn't feel icky. You feel confident and you feel really clear on exactly what it is that you need to do. Because when you're selling something, you really are just fulfilling a need that someone has expressed. And there's nothing really complicated about that if you think about it that way, right? Somebody needs something, you have something, would you like it? Yes or no, right? So we're going to talk about how to increase those yeses today with some simple tips. And of course, if you are here looking for help, right? So maybe you're not here to talk about closing sales today. You're interested in getting some help with maybe figuring out something on your website. You're trying to figure something out and you need some hands-on help. This is an opportunity for you as well. We're live every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead and add your questions to the Q&A, or if you have a need for support or want review of your work, and we'll keep space for you at the close of our call today or work with you concurrently. Greg and Amanda are here to help while I'm here talking about closing. So let's see. Hello. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you guys all here today. I see some new faces. Hi. All right. So no slides. Really recommend that you go ahead and grab your notes app or a pen and paper because I think that that's going to help us really focus in on what we need to talk about today. And I'm just going to be going off of my notes here because at the end of the day, closing is not something that you read, right? When you are sealing a deal, it needs to be a conversation. It does not need to be a script. Right? I even forgot the word script. It's been so long since I've talked about one because it's just not a thing that you need to have. Now, there are frameworks. I'm going to show you how you can actually get my closing framework that I use many, many, many times for one call closes onto high ticket offers. You can modify it for your use. I can show you where to get it and talk about how you can put it to use. We also, I'm going to be pointing to some other trainings that we've done today as well. Now, the first thing that I'd like to do before we get into this is I want to hear from you in the chat. What kind of business do you have? What are you hoping to sell more of? Let me know, because we do have an opportunity on these calls to really kind of, customize and give a little bit more context to your unique approach and what it is that you are trying to get more out of in your business. So let's hear it in the chat. Ooh, guided meditations. Love it. Evergreen coaching program. Fantastic. One-on-one coaching, digital memberships. Perfect. So what I'm going to talk with you guys about today is going to work for anybody who is in a coaching or service-based business. This does include network marketers because you are not someone who sells product as a network marketer. You are someone who is in the business of relationships, and you as a personal brand are really kind of selling a relationship to you. So in all of these cases, this should work beautifully for you. And what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing that I want you guys to know and understand is that closing begins at the beginning of the relationship. At the first interaction is where closing begins. So I would really encourage you to take this into account as sort of just a lens through which you can view the entire pipeline of your business. Closing begins when everything begins. And so before it's time to sell is when you want to be thinking about these things. And then from there, like, how do we actually start to do something with this idea that closing begins right away? The best thing that you can do, and a network marketer would know this 100%, but even a coach, if you provide financial solutions, if you are an organizer, professional organizer, if you sell meditation, you need to be the product of your product. You need to embody what it is that you sell. Visit your belief in what it is that you ultimately want to be offering and really tap into it. Fall in love with it. If you're not in love with it, that's step one. Get in love with what it is that you're offering, because the energy that you bring to the table, the belief that fuels that energy, that is palpable. It is something that can be felt by the person across the table from you, on the other side of the phone from you, or if you're using video for this, on the other side of the video exchange. You have to really believe in what it is that you're doing if you want to get more yes. Because if you are wavering, why would they say yes, right? If somebody tried to sell you something and that person was like, well, it might, maybe this or that, right? Like, would you be encouraged or excited to buy something from them? Of course not. Now, so be a product of your product. That's the next piece here. Now, beyond that, a really important skill, and actually I would say if you take nothing else from this call, and this bit of information I'm sharing with you today, let it be this: ask more questions, ask better questions. If you could build one skill in your business as someone who is selling a version of yourself, whether that be coaching, consulting, services, or connection mentorship to you in network marketing or something like that, it is so very, very important that you understand how to facilitate conversations by making it about them and listening to the cues, right? Successful selling is successful listening. At the end of the day, if you want to close, you got to be listening. And if you want to hear the right things, you got to ask the right questions, right? So you need to commit to learning how and practicing how you can be a better interviewer. Essentially, what questions can you ask someone so that it might make them think a little bit about what it is that they really want, right? Instead of saying, showing them something, a piece of information and saying, what did you think? Ask a specific question that brings you to a point in the road where you can go left or right, right? You're guiding a conversation if you're asking great questions. And I want to pause here real quick. I want to ask you guys, what is think about a time that you were maybe in a selling situation, maybe you were selling something or you were being sold. What is a question that you've been asked that you found particularly powerful to include? There's a ridiculously simple one that I want to share with you guys here in a second, but I want to see if you guys come up with anything cool in the chat. This does not have to be complicated or super clever. I'll go ahead and share this while you guys are typing. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? Right? So if you ask a question about how something is going, they're trying to get a benefit, right? Somebody's coming to you because you can help them solve a problem or realize a different sort of version or life or whatever set of circumstances for themselves. Ask them what's been going on, right? Let them tell you about all the things that aren't working and ask them, how does that make you feel? Really simple. Another one, can you tell me more? Crazy simple, right? You want to, when you're in a closing situation, when you're at a point where it's time to help someone make a yes or no decision about working with you, you want to delve deeper emotionally into the topics that are sort of fueling their desire to consider working with you in the first place. People make purchases, they take out their card, they take out their wallet because of an emotion. And so if you aren't visiting those emotions in your conversations, or if you're trying to get real advanced in your sales videos or your webinar presentations, if you aren't hitting on those emotional points, you're not going to get the conversion rate that you're looking for, because you're not really giving people space to really consider what it is that you're offering them in the scope of their big emotional yarn ball that they're dealing with right now, that they've carried to you, hoping you might be able to unravel it for them. All right, let's look at it. What would your life look like a year from now if you? That's a really good one. Another one, if I could wave a magic wand and things could be just as you want them to be in your business right now, or in your life, or in your whatever, right? What would that look like for you? And then let them paint the picture of what that looks like. And you get excited for them, right? Because that's an exciting vision. You want to see that realized, and they need to see that you're excited. You're in it with them, right? Awesome. So, so that's asking questions. And again, don't try to be too clever about this. Just think about, and you're going to see with the training that I'm giving you guys today, you're going to actually see that you can take an existing framework of questions that I've already put together for you and modify them to your own liking for your business. All right. Now, this is the second most, right? So if the first one is learn how to ask better questions and ask more questions just as a default, look at yourself as like a journalist or an interviewer or something like that. You're an investigator, you're a digger. Get really good at asking questions. But the second piece that's really critical is be a gatekeeper. Be a gatekeeper of your time. For so many of us, especially if we are operating on social, which a lot of us are, that's how we're sort of getting our feet wet with letting people know that we have something to offer, we're in business in one kind of way or another. You know that on social media, there are DMs, right? There are direct messages, no matter what platform you're on. And, you know, people can just reach out to your profile that way, then take up your time. And while it might be exciting to have somebody show up in the DMs and say, hey, can you tell me more about XYZ thing? You can't make yourself too available. Or if you're reaching out to somebody to say, hey, I've actually got something that can help you with that problem you just posted about, when can you talk, right? And they're like, now, hesitate, right? This is a really important piece for a couple of reasons. Number one, you've got to have posture, right? You are in a position of authority if you want to sell something, especially if what you're selling is yours, right? And so if you're somebody who has all the time in the world and can drop anything for somebody who hasn't even put anything on the table with you, what does that say about how successful you are with the solution that you're offering? And about how you can keep your time, right? So if you're available to everybody, what does exclusivity even look like, right? If somebody were to work with you one-on-one, if you're available at the drop of a dime, aren't you busy and successful, right? Don't we need to embody that thing that we want to be if we're not there yet? So, so be a gatekeeper of your time. This is most important for your posture and how you are perceived. And your posture in selling is second to listening, the most important thing, right? So listening first, posture second. So, so then what we want to do from here to be a gatekeeper of our time is to keep a calendar. How many of us keep a digital calendar? I know there are some of us who are still on that pen and paper, on the planners. I know some of us really love it. We enjoy it. It's a nice little exercise. Keep those for journaling, okay? Please move into the world of digital calendars. It will make your life so much easier, and it allows you to scale your time, right? And your availability. So keep a calendar. And if you're going to interact with someone, maybe it's time, you know, to have a conversation with them about maybe getting started with you. Set a time. Date and time. Now, you could do this with a Google Calendar. Yes, Carrie, that works beautifully. That you could do this completely free. You don't even need to have a scheduler for this purpose. You can say this date, this time, you put it on the calendar, you send them, you know, the confirmation, the appointment confirmation, or what have you, whatever the, you know, the calendar link is, and you're good to go, right? And in that way, I want you to think about this for a second. How many of you, is anybody here an attorney? Just I know this is an off the wall question. I'm going somewhere with this. Anybody an attorney here? No? Okay. So if you were, let's just say you were at the grocery store and, you know, kicked off a conversation with somebody about your kids because, you know, they're waving at each other or something like that. And you don't know this person. And you start having this conversation and you realize, oh, this person is an attorney because they say that's, you know, that's what I do. Would you expect that in that circumstance, that this person would give you a consultation right there in the grocery store? Of course not, right? If you're an accountant, like you're not going to go and look at somebody's QuickBooks, right? If you're just standing, you know, you're sitting at the kids' ball game. That's not how that works, right? So you should carry yourself with the same kind of professional posture, no matter what you do, as someone would who is in a very more like brick and mortar established type of business, right? Lawyers have an office, you go into the office, maybe you meet them virtually. You get where I'm going with this, right? So make sure that you are holding yourself as a professional and being a gatekeeper of your time. Now, you don't have to hire an assistant to do this. One way that I really, really love doing this is using AttractWell to actually set up a call application. Now, we've done a training on this previously, and I can show you where that is here in just a bit, maybe at the close of our presentation here. Most of this you will find on our YouTube channel. A lot of what we have already has the pre-made, done for you templates. And then, of course, we do have a course that teaches you some pieces of this as well. So be a gatekeeper of your time by keeping a calendar. Don't just be available on the fly. Have people set times with you. It's better that way. It's scalable that way, and you will feel better about what you're doing. Now, for the call application, and so this is, prior to someone even being able to get on a call with you, let's say. So if you're selling high ticket, if you are if you're a network marketer, I would recommend that you do this, especially if you're working with people and developing the business side of things. If you're taking one-on-one clients, absolutely do this, because you need to know that you're a fit before you take someone's money. You want to use a call application. Now, what that is, all it is you create a form on your AttractWell site, and you ask the questions that you would want to know about somebody who is your perfect lead. So think about it like this. What is their problem? Of course, in their words, most important thing, right? What's their goal for getting it solved? Do they have a time frame for getting it solved? Do they have a budget for getting it solved? What will happen if they don't do something about this? And there's a question. Ask that when you're in a closing situation. Hey, so if you were to just let this go and have it keep being what it is, what'll happen? Right? What'll happen if you don't do anything about this? Anyway, ask those kinds of questions in the intake form itself. And they cannot access your calendar until they've filled that out. So you're actually pre-qualifying. And you could be in the position one day, and I want you to be in the position one day where you can look through these or pay someone to look through these and identify criteria where you or they can say, okay, like, I really appreciate your time. I actually don't think that you would be a fit for the thing that I'm doing, but here, let me refer you to someone. Or here is my course that you can DIY. So a budget line would be a really important place to include this. So if you say, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, or what is your budget, if the budget that they put in doesn't really fit within what you're going to be asking for, or if you say on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to invest financially, personally, emotionally in solving this problem? If they answer a 5, you're not going to close them, right? Because there are some things that aren't ready yet. So maybe you do have a little bit of a conversation, but you don't have quite the whole one, right? And you dig a little deeper and you understand where that 5 is. You could call it out too, because you could say, hey, see, I noticed that you said 5. Can you tell me more about that? Like, I obviously want to help point you in the direction of the things that could help you the most, but but what does that mean to you? Why do you pick that number? So you can actually get really targeted in the questions that you're asking on the call itself if you get answers to questions ahead of time. So you have those prerequisite questions. That is such a critical piece. And again, I'm going to show you guys where you can go to learn how to set that up here in just a bit. Now, another piece, and this is really more of a business strategy, generally speaking, that you should be applying across the board to everything that you do. And that is to follow a system. Do the same thing every time. Ask the same sequence of questions every time. Have people follow the same systems to get on a call with you every single time. We can't measure what we don't track, right? We can't see what's effective if we don't know what we're doing, if we're not keeping up with what we're doing. So we don't know, for instance, excuse me, how many leads we need to generate in order to close a high ticket sale until we have followed the same system to get those leads and close those leads every time to know, what those numbers are and what we should be projecting. So for those of you who are thinking, oh, I want to use Facebook ads to promote what I do. If you don't have a system in place that you could follow manually, you don't know the numbers to use for a budget, right? You don't know the percentages that you're aiming for. And even if you're not getting into ads, what if, for instance, you feel like you keep coming up with the same objection with all of the people that you're communicating with, or with a lot of them are coming up with the same objections to saying yes to you? if you're following the same systems, asking the same questions, using the same intakes, then you can actually go and try to analyze and pinpoint what it is that you're going to want to change to get better results. All right, another thing, and this is actually an on the call. I think the rest of these are on the call specifically. So like when you are on the call with someone, you want to repeat back their answers to questions. This is a really important thing to do, really just generally speaking, right? This isn't just a closing strategy. This is just good business and it's good relationships. Show people that you're listening to them by repeating back what they say. So if you ask a question and say, you know, what would you like blank to look like in 90 days? And you let them talk and then you say, oh, tell me more about that. And then you let them talk and you say, okay, that's great. So you want to this, repeat it back. Awesome. Let's create a plan to get that done. You're present with them, right? That we go from having a script where we can say, I can help you do XYZ thing and working with me looks like XYZ thing. They don't care about any of that. They want you to know that they are in this position and they want this thing. And they want to know that you're a partner with them moving in that direction. And this is true for you, whether you're working one-on-one with people or not, right? If you're selling something that helps someone solve a problem, they need to know that you see the whole picture. You get their whole picture. You've listened and that you see how what you have can connect those dots and help them get what it is that they want. So repeat back the things that they say. That makes people feel heard. Heard makes people feel comfortable. Comfortable makes people say yes more easily. All right, this is a really important question, important thing to cover here, you guys. Before you launch into your offer, before you speak a word about the thing that you sell, ask for permission to share it with them, right? If I could show you a way to blank, would you like to know more? Would you like to hear about that? Sometimes people will come straight out and be like, I want to know how to work with you. And you say, that's great. We'll get to that in just a minute. I want to learn more about you, right? Always direct it first to your conversation with them. Really dig, and this is especially critical if you are selling high ticket, right? Or you need you need to close something that is recurring and you want to keep that retention. You really need to make sure that you're taking that time to dig in and get the emotional connection, the goals, because people will quit on themselves. But if they've got you as a partner and you know what they need in a partner, you're going to be able to keep folks around, have those clients be happy, of course, get those great success stories and get more referrals for how you grow, however you go about growing your business. All right, so get permission to make the offer. And I do have, again, a training that teaches this. And then the final piece, ask yes questions. And that is questions whose answer is yes. That's it. You want to get people actually saying yes. This is actually sort of a conditional thing or a response, conditional response thing. I'm not a psychologist, but this is something that's been studied in sales and in closing. If you can get people to say yes a few times, the likelihood that they say yes when you say, are you ready to get started, is through the roof by comparison. So think about questions that you can ask that have yes as an answer, right? So if I could show you a way to repeat their words back to them, would you want to hear more? Of course they say yes, right? So that you get them to say yes then. And then of course you walk through it and you could say, could you see that being a fit for you? They say yes, right? So ask yes questions. All right, so I want to go over to our chat here. And of course, let me see if there's any questions. Do please make sure that we get over to the Q&A if you have a question so that I don't miss you. Really important. All right, yeah, Melissa, we absolutely have time and we can go over that with you today, but I do want to show you guys real quick a training that you're going to want to check out if you are interested in employing this strategy today. This is the AttractWell YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/AttractWell. And let's go over to videos. And we have quite a few on here that are going to be really helpful for you. But here we go. We've got the discovery call flow. That's going to be one in particular that'll be crazy helpful. And then the discovery call funnel. So these two right here discovery call funnel, discovery call flow, conversations that close high ticket coaching offers, and discovery call funnels for coaches. Those 2 are ones that I want you to check out. And then also I want you to go to AttractWell.com/CFC. And that's going to take you to the Client Funnel Challenge. This is a free course that we have made available to you. And in the final module, I actually share my entire call flow for high ticket offers. Okay. And so what you're able to do is follow the training, take what I've put together and make it your own. There is a flow that you want to follow, not a script, but a flow where you're asking the right kind of questions at the right points in time. You know, obviously there are highs and lows that we can have in conversations. Maybe the highs being, what would you like life to look like when, you know, you've achieved these things that you want? That's up high, right? But then there's, now, how is not having this figured out affecting you? Is this affecting other parts of your life? What's the cost of not getting this figured out, right? So it's a considerable, like you're up here and then you're down here. There's sort of strategic ways to follow a conversation flow wherein you can maximize the sort of depth and bonding that you can really create with someone on a call, really being present, you really hearing them, cluing in, and also importantly, you figuring out whether or not the person you're speaking with, especially if you're doing one-on-one services, is someone who would be a great fit for you. Because obviously we don't want to sell just because we want to make money. We want to make sure that we've got the right connection, right? Okay. All right, Cornelia, good question. High ticket, what do you define as being high ticket when in network marketing? So I would actually treat, if you are, because I know you're in Young Living, so I think the best way to approach this is really going to be if you're going to meet with somebody who says, I want to build a business, like I want some of the success that you have, then you're going to want to have a call like this. So think about when you're actually looking to recruit someone who would be working with you in the business, like a brand partner for you in that case. I would abbreviate the call flow to something just a little bit shorter, a little bit more to the point, where connecting to product is concerned. Just because, you know, you're looking for a long-term commitment. You're going to get more profitability per capita out of your network marketing business by recruiting distributors. It's just how it works. Obviously, people need to buy product, but in terms of the time you invest, getting a person who wants to sell stuff is going to make you more money than going out and finding all the people who are going to buy stuff, right? So I would use this approach where you're focusing on recruitment. So actually talking to somebody who is a customer, a happy customer, or if you are out there leading conversations or you're approached by, or you approach others and you want to have a conversation about how people can have a business and how you can help them to do it. So that's how I would apply this network marketing wise. Okay. All right. So Melissa, I signed up for next week. Thought I wouldn't make it back. Glad you're here. You have a 28-day program. Would love to turn into a program I can sell over and over again. I have daily emails, weekly content, checklists, weekly group coaching, PDF guidebook, social media posts. How can I organize a vault to use this content off of Facebook? Ooh, I'm going to bring you out to chat. This is cool. All right, let's talk. Where are you? There we go. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good. It's good to see you. So, all right. So tell me, because I know you're a little bit of a bit of a pro with us. So you know that videos can go into online classes, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess tell me a little bit about the program itself and what, if any, of the content you're kind of trying to, you're struggling with figuring out what
Yeah,
goes where.
so I'm actually working on kind of niching down into what area of coaching I want to focus on. And I've had a lot of success with weight loss. And so I really think that that is the area that I'd like to focus on. So eventually my goal would be to do coaching for women like me, middle-aged women who have a pretty decent chunk of weight that they'd like to lose, but it's all about changing habits slowly over time. And so in order to start, I thought, well, I'd love to put out this like 28-day kind of habit challenge where each week we focus in on one habit in particular and see how this goes. And then eventually my goal would be to build from there into some kind of monthly subscription thing where each week we add another habit that we're working on. And there would be like weekly group coaching calls involved. And I know that you have showed us in the past something that you've done where you've been able to organize it. So you have like a weekly Zoom call, you have things that get posted every week. So I'm just trying to figure out how to do that. Like, I don't necessarily want to have a separate Facebook group where I'm building community. I'd really like to build that community on AttractWell.
Yeah.
But I'm having difficulty figuring out what that looks like. I built a course, so I'm familiar with adding courses to vaults, but I don't feel like the content I have is an actual course. It feels more like each week I give you a little bit of content, but it's mainly upfront. You're going to get your PDF book up front. You're going to get a checklist up front. And then each week we kind of check in with each other. And I don't really, I'm a visual person. I can't visualize what that would look like in a vault.
Yeah, got you. Here, let me see. Have I shared the 28-day challenge vault with you? I know it's on our Get Oiling site, but I think I might have shared that before. Here, let me see. What is it? Get Oiling. Let me see if I've got this right. So this is something that was it was made very specifically for Young Living brand partners, but the structure of it super similar. So you could just take, remove the network marketing piece where there's a product and then and make it a habit, right? So here's a habit we're going to focus on this week. So let me actually go and I'll email that to you here later. But let me go sign in and show you what that looks like. And then you can see what I'm talking about. If I can get my computer to cooperate. Basically, like I'll put it this way, to put a challenge in a vault, typically you're going to have some kind of a core curriculum either way, right? You're going to have, here are the basic things you need to know. And then there may be, changes over time to what we want to add to it. Here we go. Let me see if I can find
think that's
this.
kind of where I was struggling. Like to me, it doesn't feel like there's enough content to make an actual course. I mean, maybe there is.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I actually have one of my clients did this recently, and for her, it was all about like creating sort of a calm, peaceful home. So, she's got like 5 kids and she's super Zen somehow. And everybody wants to know how. And so so basically she says, we're going to have one habit a week that we're going to focus on. And then I'm going to give you opportunities to go a little deeper. So the first week of the 28-day challenge, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was don't go to bed with a dirty kitchen or something like that.
Yeah.
And so she would share like how she simplified the cleaning routine and how she gets her kids involved. And so, for the challenge this week is we're going to, take a picture of our clean kitchen before we go to bed. Right.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like what I'm doing. Like week 1 is drink only 0-calorie beverages. And so we'll talk about how to eliminate beverages with calories and why you want to avoid even like diet soda. Like we'll talk about that in week 1, but I wasn't sure that should be a course or if that would be like a chat room inside a vault instead. I'm not sure.
So it depends, right? Like, are you wanting to just run this one time and then remove everybody?
No.
And then
No,
okay.
I am thinking I would like to be able to reuse it. Like maybe every 3 months I rerun this challenge with a new group.
Okay. But as a new group.
Correct. Okay. However, I am also thinking at some point I'd like to use this model and then just keep adding each week. We're going to add another habit that we're going to be working on that week. And then I'm thinking maybe that would be like a monthly subscription type thing.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. So what I would do then is just think about what the core curriculum is, right? So you're helping somebody get a transformation. If it's 28 days, maybe it's one thing a week, right?
Mhm.
So you want to get the base habits handled, and then you add on others later, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so then have the base stuff inside of an online class. And all you're going to be doing there is you make a quick video, maybe you encourage, you give a little bit of context, right? So think about it like this. You want somebody to drink only 0-calorie beverages for a week. For somebody who is absolutely hooked on Coca-Cola, like most of us are on coffee, or some of us, sorry, they they're going to need to maybe understand a little bit more about why that's even a thing that they should do. Well, why can't I just, what if I did this, or what if I did that? Maybe they don't know that like juice has calories, right?
Yeah.
So you've got enough content that you could put into something like that. So I would encourage you to get the baseline covered in the online classes,
Okay.
and then use the chat room, use the discussion room for sort of the add-ons. Another thing that you could do with that as an evergreen model is you could have a page in the group that you maybe refresh once a week, and you say this week's habit is this, right? So you're sort of going through and you're establishing these 3 habits first, or maybe even concurrently with this week's habit, right? Maybe there's 3-4 things you want them to do. You cut out sugar, you walk 10,000 steps in a day, you do one other thing, you do another thing, and then there are these other things that you do. So our challenge is this. And this
So would
week,
you have a separate chat room, or would you have in each module, say inside a course, module 1 is going to be week 1, and would I just have that chat box underneath in week 1 in module 1? Or should I have a separate chat room? Like, which is the better way to go?
Yeah, I've actually seen this work more effectively with the chat being on the lessons themselves, especially if you're keeping the content a little different for the day to day. Right. So week 1 module, you've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days or whatever. And you've got like a little tip that you're sharing because you want people to be checking in. And so with each of those, you want to have the specific call to action for accountability. Right. So they're going to want to post in that thread. So take a picture of your clean kitchen today, and you're going to post it there, that kind of
I
thing.
actually also have 28 days worth of emails and that's kind of like what's backing up. So week 1 challenge is 0-calorie. And then each day I send an email with a different tip related to 0-calorie beverages and why, you want to do that kind of a thing. Should those be an email set up as an email campaign, or should those be additional content inside the course? Or should those be every day in the chat box? I'm throwing a new question in the chat box.
Yeah, so that should be the content of that, is that it's substantive content. So I would put that into lessons or into emails. The way that I've had this set up in the past, because we want to incentivize activity in the vault itself, is just a short daily email that says, some kind of sizzle, right? So today we're talking about the one thing you need to know for XYZ thing, and not subject, right? It's not why you need to not drink drinks with calories in them. You say like, here's one sneaky thing that may be standing in the way of your balanced blood sugar and your energy and weight loss or whatever. And head over here now to get today's challenge. And so you're sending them over to the vault. And then whatever that content of that email would be, I'd make that a lesson inside of the vault.
And I also have corresponding daily, it almost sounds like I have daily social media posts that I could do, but I don't really want to use them as social media. Maybe that is what I email, because that's just a snippet of what the email campaign was, which I'm now going to be putting in the course. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So you use the email campaign just to kind of tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, there's some really good stuff over here. Come get it. And you put the goods in the vault.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. And you have an example you can send to me later, maybe?
I'm going to connect you to the course that we have on Get Oiling. So just shoot me an email and I'll get that to you.
Thank you. Because I need to see things in order to see how they fit. And that's how I learn.
For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Happy to help. All right. Anybody else have questions like those or anything like it? You are welcome to come out and chat. We can bring you out and talk. Gigi said, what is the best way to get customers linked to a member area? We actually, Greg, is that live today? Uh-oh, I can't hear you.
How to step through thing. Oh,
Oh,
how about
there
now?
you go. Yes.
Okay. I think you kind of, yeah, there's a new member area guide right inside your member area. It's got like a little checklist and everything. I could probably pull it up if you wanted me to show it.
Yeah.
I
Here, let me make you
have
co-host
it
so you can
open,
do
but I
that.
can- Yeah, sure. Still take me a second to grab the right account here. But there is a nice little setup guide here that'll make it a lot easier. And we do have that online course as well that we could probably point you to. What is that? AttractWell.com/online course that walks through it a little bit. But let's see here. Yeah, okay. So let me share out my screen now that I've got it up here. But what I'm talking about, if you haven't been in there today, this is new as of this morning. There is a new little gadget widget setup guide thing. So if you click on vaults or either setup down here in your member area, it's going to have this little setup guide. And this account happens to have it all done, but you can see like when you're setting up your member area, it'll tell you, okay, here it's enabled. And if it isn't enabled, you can click a link and it'll turn it on. It asks you to create at least one vault, and it checks to make sure that you've got at least one contact on one of your vaults. And if you dive into a specific vault, it'll actually go even further and like check your campaign. Like here it's showing you complete, but there's actually 4 things it checks here. Member is enabled, vault has content, and the vault's campaign is set up correctly. And if it isn't, if I come down here, and I won't save this, but if I come down here and pick some other, is it the right one? Yeah, campaign. So if I pick some other random one here that doesn't have that, it pops up a little message and says, you know, this campaign isn't going to work. And actually, if you come back up to the top, there's a way to fix the campaign. You can click on it, it gives you instructions. There's even a link you can click and it'll add the necessary links to your campaign. So it really streamlines the setup. And then there's the invitations as well. Like once you have the vault fully set up, you can click the invite link, choose what vault you want to invite them to, either invite contacts by tag or name, and it'll let them in. There's other ways of doing that. Like you can, learn other ways of how to, like how do people get into this vault? And we've got a big page of instructions here on 5 different ways that you can let people in besides just inviting them. And if you want to quickly add somebody to your vault that's on the dashboard now, oops, that's the wrong link. Go on the dashboard, there's a new link here now for inviting contacts to a vault. So you can just click that and then fill out the little form here and it'll invite people. There's a whole different process if you want to set up a landing page, whatever. That's the basic. Usually the first thing people want to do is set it up and invite a friend or something to go check it out, or maybe invite themselves on a different email address. Which makes sense to go poke around that. But yeah, that little setup guide is brand new and should walk you through the process, as well as we do have that online course creator that I just mentioned. I think is another resource there to get started on that too.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Greg. So Gigi, just to also to follow up on that, obviously you've got the technical ways of adding people to add your customers in your case. Real quick, because I'm not 100% sure, are you a Get Oiling user? Are you a Young Living brand partner, or like what is this, like who are your customers basically is the question. The reason why I ask is in most cases, unless somebody is purchasing access to a vault where they get the things that they came for, you really do have to kind of do some manual footwork at first to get people into the habit of using it. Or if you've got people who started with you in coaching or something like that in some other way that didn't involve your vault, and they aren't yet conditioned to or in the habit of using your vault. What you want to do in those cases is really rely on your manual communication, right? So whatever the means by which you would normally communicate, phone, is it DMs, whatever that might be, then you want to ask them, are you signed up for our vault? Are you signed up for our member area? Here's the benefit that you get from being in there. Would you like me to go ahead and do that for you? And you just kind of check it off manually and you get them signed up for your resources. So just because we build automations doesn't mean that we can make people automatically do the things that we'd like for them to do. We do need to rely on our influence and our relationships to kind of take that over the finish line in most cases. I hope that helps. Yes, Young Living. Okay, perfect. So awesome, you guys. So now you know there is a vault setup guide, a member area setup guide, if you want to take a look at that. Do make sure you go to attractwell.com/CFC. That's going to take you through the entire funnel build process. And if you want to skip ahead to week 4, look for the discovery call. You'll actually see the flow that you can grab and use to get more yes into your business. Well, guys, if we don't have any other questions, we're going to go ahead and get going. We'll be back here same time next week, 2 p.m. Eastern, to help you grow your business with AttractWell. Hope you take advantage of these free resources. I put those 2 YouTube videos that I referenced in the chat here, and I'll make sure that we put them in the description for the replay. Hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you next time.
Next week.